Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back through daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about the overall crypto market. So let's just dive in. Also, before we fully jump on in, I just want to ask guys, could hit that like button. It does help the channel grow immensely, and for every single like, it pumps another altcoin up. So everyone hit that like button to pump your own altcoin. But in all seriousness, it actually just does help the channel grow, and I do greatly appreciate that. Now, overall, on the 24-hour span, we have been seeing some altcoins starting to break out a little bit. We did see XDC up about 5% up today from some announcements. I will be going over those later tonight. Probably will make a video on it for tomorrow. We also seen Scale up about 25%. ApeCoin is still pumping, looks pretty good overall. But for the most part, the entire market is looking pretty stable today. You guys want to really question why? Well, we're going to be talking about it. So let's just dive in. So first, let's talk about the dollar. Now, I know we've been talking about the dollar for so long. I get it. It gets annoying. But guess what? This is looking pretty good. And the reason why I say this is looking pretty good is because we are now breaking up above the point that we needed to really get to, which was the March highs. Now, when we talk about this on the daily span, so let's look at the daily here. So we came up, retested that level perfectly. Now we are at around the same point going back to the 2017 run in terms of resistance. This is January 2017. This is the same point on the dollar that when we found weakness, we went on that multi-year bull run to really top out around the January timeframe for alts. It almost looks like an identical pattern being placed here. RSI looking like it's at its topping point. RSI is still at the level from the March of 2020 highs, as well as even the 2017 highs. So when we look at the dollar right now, it's actually very similar to the 2020 timeframe when we went on that yearly run in 2021, and it's also very similar to the 2017-2018 bull run. This is why I have been saying, watch the dollar closely here, because it's actually very significant in terms of where we currently are positioned in this market. Now, with this in mind, we did see the indices also pumping fairly good today. The Dow Jones closed 614 positive points. We also seen the Nasdaq 382.6 points. The S&P 500 103. Things are looking pretty good. And I'm going to, open the Dow Jones real quick on a separate chart real quick just to show you guys this. Yesterday, I did advise you when we were looking at the Dow Jones that we were at a multi-year support zone going back to the March of 2020 lows. But look at where we currently are, within this, right? So this is the monthly candles, by the way. This is why I show you guys the Dow Jones. So throughout the last couple days, and I would say like it started last week, everybody thought that the stock market was going to crash. In my opinion, when we looked at the Dow Jones, there was really nothing to, concern ourselves with, because we've been bouncing off of the 20-day EMA almost every single time now for like the last, couple months, going back as far as like February. And we could clearly see the support zone that we are riding on right now. And this goes back as far as like September. So right now, the Dow Jones is actually fairly bullish in terms of its integrity and structure. It's holding fairly strong. This actually goes the same with Bitcoin. I've been showing you guys Bitcoin. It's also riding the 20-day EMA. I even said in terms of Bitcoin, we will see 50K before we see under 37K. And so far, that has actually held up. And the reason why is because we are still putting higher lows on the monthly candles. And within this, we are actually still holding a very strong support zone. And when we talk about things happening right now, this weekend is going to be crucial for Bitcoin. And the reason why I say that is because not only do we see the weekly and monthly candle close, we need to have both of those actually above a very bullish point, and that bullish point is around 40K. We want to see a close above 40K for the monthly and the weekly candles. Now, with this, I'd love to see a close above 44K. I just don't believe that we are going to get there just yet. But I will say this, things look very good in terms of Bitcoin, even in terms of the dollar and also the Dow Jones. Now, let's actually look at the dollar. So, again, in terms of the DXY, aka the US dollar, we look back on the daily span and we zoom back out to the 2020 timeframe. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. So, as we were kind of crashing during March of 2020 in terms of risk on assets, specifically Bitcoin and even stocks. Let me go to the daily span here. Let's go back to March of 2020. So, 1 second. So, here we have it right there. Let me zoom in. So, when we look at Bitcoin and we also look at the dollar at around this time frame, first off, RSI on Bitcoin was extremely oversold here. But that's not what we really care about. What we care about is the day that that Bitcoin actually bottomed out, which was March 13th, 2020. We go back here to March 13th, and March 13th was the day that, the dollar really started to gain momentum. Now, the reason why, and this is also why I believe that we're in a very similar structure right now, the reason why I do believe that Bitcoin started to pump at around this time was because I think that individuals also seen that the dollar was at a point where it was going to eventually weaken. I think individuals knew where we were headed in terms of COVID. They knew that the dollar was not going to last fairly long because of mass printing, and so they jumped out of the dollar and went into risk on assets where there is better returns. It's not, it's like a no-brainer move, honestly. When we look at the current chart for the dollar, I think that a very similar pattern is actually playing out. Don't get me wrong, I think that the Fed, with their, again, when we look at the tapering rates and things like that, sure, will that pump the dollar a little bit? Yes, but ultimately, if you are an economic trader where you are paying attention to economics and you're looking at, finance in general, you'd understand that right now, yeah, sure, does this look good for the dollar? Yeah, but is this a sustainable move while we're seeing, tapering events from the Fed and things like that? No. I foresee this dollar collapsing here. And I know that I have been talking to you guys about this for a little bit of time, but you got to realize that this stuff does take time. I mean, this is the whole month of April, basically. This is where we bottomed out in March, right? And here's the whole month of April. During April, it was just a massive pump event, which tells me most likely, okay, currently it is Thursday. We are going to watch the dollar closely tomorrow. But on Monday, I do believe that that will be the turning event for the dollar. That's when I'm really going to start paying attention. I do think that individuals that are in Bitcoin or in stocks are also seeing a very similar pattern being printed, similar to the March 2020 timeframe, where we are seeing, the dollar still kind of rise, but we're also seeing a little bit of strength being printed not only on Bitcoin, but also on stocks. It's a very, very similar time to March of 2020. And we all know exactly what led up after that. If we do see a repeated March of 2020 run to 2021, we will be seeing Bitcoin well above 100K. We will see 120 to most likely 160K. Is it speculative? Yes. But again, all that we care about is Bitcoin actually having that last final wave. No matter where we go in terms of price valuation on Bitcoin, all that matters is Bitcoin leading the wave 5 for altcoins to have that capital flow into them after that. And when we talk about altcoins still look golden. We are still ranging on support at around the 382 fib level. Still look extremely strong on the monthly time-based zone since going back as far as January and February with higher lows being printed in and also higher highs on each monthly candle, which tells me the next major candle will most likely breach the 618, and every single time that we breach the 618, I shouldn't say every single time, we're actually going back to the October timeframe where we really kind of breached the 618. We had that nice little move. Now, again, like I've said, going off the March of 2020 lows, if we're talking about where we currently are on this chart, this is where things get very interesting. So everyone's always asking me, all right, Nick, well, if you think that Bitcoin's going here or you think altcoins are going here, where do you think capital is going to come in from, right? Because I've always said in terms of the altcoin market cap, we could range to $5 to $7 trillion in just the altcoin market. And people always ask me, where do you foresee, that capital coming from? Look around you guys. Institutions are running to crypto. banks are running to crypto. Mass adoption from financial institutions and banks is actually happening. Mass adoption from the retail zone right now is really not happening. We're not seeing a lot of retail FOMO happening just yet, but we will most likely see that once we do see Bitcoin kind of take the lead, and that's when we will see massive articles around Bitcoin going to is Bitcoin going to go to all-time highs? We'll see a whole bunch of articles around Bitcoin, having that FOMO event happen, while others, right, the others in terms of dominance are really kind of leading the way right now. In fact, altcoins look very strong in terms of not only the others' dominance, but also the total too. And when we look at the others' dominance right now, we're actually gaining a ton of support at around the 15.62% level. And if we kind of continue to build here and have that nice spike up event, we will most likely see some altcoins taking the lead. And I'm really focused on Ethereum. As you guys know, I have been buying some NFTs. So if we see Ethereum take the lead here, that's going to be significant, as Bitcoin dominance is still kind of ranging here. It's still kind of gaining some momentum and still building some support, but we will most likely see some altcoins breaking out. So I'm very, very interested to see what happens over this weekend. This weekend is going to be a crucial time to really watch the markets. I know we usually take off on the weekends, but guys, pay attention to things happening this weekend, because it's actually crucial for Bitcoin's closing point, especially as we do see the 30th being a Saturday. So pay attention. And to really kind of wrap this up, in terms of the altcoin market, when we look at XRP and some other altcoins on the monthly, yesterday in terms of my live stream, I told you guys, look at where we are in terms of support, and also look at the monthly candles here. This, some people think that this is a bear flag, right? In my opinion, I think that this is one massive bull flag that actually started at around roughly the January of 2021 timeframe. You could technically go off of this point here in April and kind of look at it right like this. Does it look bearish? Yeah, because it is still in a downtrend. But utilizing what we've known on the Bitcoin price chart for XRP, which I told you guys about yesterday, this is actually preparing for its next major run up. And I showed you guys the similar pattern that we're in right now off of those highs in January to the highs back in 2014 off of the lows in 2017 before we went on that massive tear. Also, I know for all those Hbar barians out there, you're probably wondering what is going on with Hbar. Well, I'm still looking for that retest of possibly 15 cents. If we don't get it, that's totally fine. But I'm definitely watching Hbar too. If we are looking at the Bitcoin price chart for Hbar, it is a little bit bearish. I actually said, I'm looking to see if we do test this point here. Roughly, we're kind of testing. I would say, even if we came down to test the low candle on the April 1st monthly candle, which is at roughly almost 400 sats, that's totally fine with me as well. That will also still bring the price down to roughly that 15-cent mark, and I'm a 100% buyer at that point. Casper, real quick to give you guys a quick update on Casper's chart. Yesterday I did buy, but it looks like we are down slightly, a little bit more, but it looks like we are still most likely going to range at around the support zone of either the monthly candle from August, which was at around 6 cents, or we might see that massive dip down to 5.5 cents yet again. And if that's the case, I'm going to buy there as well, because we do know from here it's most likely going to be a 4x opportunity for our recent high. And at the end of this bull run, we're talking about roughly almost $1. So again, and when I say roughly $1, it could go much higher. And we also want to do a quick look over at the quant chart. So in terms of the quant chart, we are holding at around the support zone of $96. I'm watching for a retest there. If we are going to watch Bitcoin kind of climb the ranks, we will most likely see altcoins take a little bit of a further hit. But I do believe that the bottom is in on Bitcoin. I've said this. I've talked to you guys about it. I've even announced it on Twitter. So with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.